to the Creativity Show, the virtual visit live reads from my memoir, Incandescence Rising Above Darkness. I'm Clare Cooley. I'm a multi-artist, writer, creativity coach. I just love creativity and its healing and life-enhancing, all of its attributes. It's what I've made my whole life out of, creativity, or my desire to be in creative reverie and to make things that make my life better and other people's lives better. So writing, painting, dancing, home decor, wardrobe, jewelry, I like to do it all. And I'm going to start today by sharing something that I'm so non-linear, I can't know for sure exactly how long ago I made this outfit, but it's 5 pieces of clothing that were my complete wardrobe at the time. This is all I had. And I made it somewhere between 40 and 50 years ago. And it's a jacket that's reversible. And it's a bodysuit or bathing suit that can be worn to bathe in a swimming pool or lake or wherever you go bathing. It's a pair of pants that the reason I thought of sharing this for this live read is the story I'm going to read today, Aurora Borealis and Working Girls, about me trying to get to my friend's birth of her son in time. The only way to get there was to hitchhike the long-haul semi-trucks across Montana to get to Minneapolis, which I did. But one of the truck drivers that I rode the longest with said about these pants, I'm trying to see where you can see the whole thing. Can you see the whole thing here?
Not all the way to the bottom, but yeah, if you lift it up, there you go.
There you go. So they're waist elastic at the bottom and top. So he said about my pants, what do you call those genie pants? And I said at the time, because these 5 articles I'm showing you were my entire wardrobe. By now I called them my friends, and so I was ruminating on that before this read, and this anecdote is not in the story I'm going to read, but it reminded me of it. Here's the skirt that can also be a dress, and so the bodysuit can be under it for a skirt, or it can also be a cape. So between this skirt and the pants that could be over it or under the skirt, the dress, the bodysuit, the jacket, and one last piece. This one I made by hand without a sewing machine. Show you the stitches up close here. It has a hood. So no sewing machine involved in this one. And this is the only one that's not a synthetic fabric, so that if it was hot, I could wear this cool, breathable fabric. So these 5 pieces were my entire wardrobe. And I've always been an artist, and I've always been a creative generalist. Knowing that the more I could do for myself, the more I could afford time to do my art, which is what gives me the most joy, healing, and purpose. Sharing it with others, I think, is the most fulfilling work I can do, which is, my first career being a multi-artist who wrote a curriculum back in my 20s called Dancing into the Arts and taught every grade level, first through university, and teachers and graduate nurses and therapists, all about how to access our own creativity and our own imaginations to heal ourselves, because the expression of emotions stimulates our immune system, so art is a way to express it all. Enhance our lives, make what we want to have in our lives, which is why I have so many different kinds of creativity in my life, is because I love to try to make whatever I need. So I enjoyed the process. It is joyous. And I can afford to be an artist because I make so much of what I need in my life, from dishes to framing to designing furniture to, as I said, jewelry, clothing, we restored the house ourselves. So my son and I are both artists, creative generalists, and we help each other and have different skills. Obviously, he's very technically facile, so he's the one that's got this going on a number of different platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
Those are the three. Yep.
Those are the three, and so he's built this wonderful contraption himself, that my laptop, so when I read the story, I can read it off the laptop, and the camera from the laptop and our two phones are all attached to this one board that in a couple minutes we're going to take down to show you my framing shop. One of the other things, of course, I do, because framing can be very expensive, and I've been doing art for a long time, and so I learned to frame. And everything in the house I framed, and have designed, invented my own framing systems. So we're going to take you down to what I like to call the underground gallery and my framing room down there, so you can see where a lot of this stuff happens. We also have another shop that, for the power equipment, restoring the house ourselves. We're always building something, and Bodhi being a movie maker and us collaborating on all these adventures, there's always a need for building something. So we made that shop under the leaky deck ourselves, to keep the leaking out of the foundation of the house. We broke out the sidewalks that were listing into the house, directing the water into the foundation, and sloped it away from the house, put a swale at the end of it, covered with landscaping fabric and river rock. We have no more leaking, no more moldy mess. The cellar was actually toxic. The house was on the market for 10 years before we purchased it, because to spend the money to have someone else do all that work, people would have had to spend more on the house than perhaps they thought it was worth. But we knew, as artists with big projects always in the works, that we could do it, and so we did. And there's a video Bodhi made about it called Polishing the Emerald Lady. That's on Mother-Son Productions.
But check out the creativity show. There's a lot of these new videos on there.
Yeah, a lot. My YouTube channel, we both use, but primarily it's mine for the creativity show on YouTube. His is Bodhi, the movie maker, on YouTube. But also we have a website that is Mother-Son Productions. He asked me to work with him. He named us. And a lot of these videos, like Polishing the Emerald Lady, are on that, to see us going through restoring this house ourselves, so we could afford this grand old historic place that we feel so grateful we got to save from ruin. And now we get to live and work in it and share it with you through these virtual visit live reads. So let's go down. Well, let me show you one piece of art that's before the story that I'm going to read when we come back upstairs in a few minutes. It's called Heavenly Bodies. And most of you, I would assume, know that my book has 52 stories and 68 pieces of my art in it, because for me, every kind of creativity.
Oh yeah, we saw it.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
it's
nice.
called Heavenly Bodies, watercolor. Every kind of creative expression connects to every other kind of creative expression. So I like to keep challenging myself, keep curious, keep trying new things. The latest art form in my life is movie making with my son. I started with dance because I didn't need anything but me, and then it was probably designing environments out in the woods or in fields, using found objects to make objet d'art, and then probably wardrobe and writing as my own way to have a sacred witness, someone that could hear me and someone I could tell whatever I needed to speak about. And jewelry, and then home decor, and then designing a home. Our previous home I got to be part of from the ground up before it was built, and designing it, and the Museum of Modern Art in San Francisco brought tours to it because I like to make everything, as I've said. And this home, historic building, because I love classic design, the furniture I designed and the art I've created works beautifully here as well as it did in a modern contemporary home, because classic design, that's what makes it classic. It endures the test of time. It's just, as my muse is nature, the greatest designer. That's where I get my ideas from and my teachers. So that's what my art in all its forms reflects. I'm wearing this that I did not make, but Madeline Pitts, a beautiful human being in our last home, she became my adopted grandmother, and I just love her and I miss her all the time. And I got to help her when she was older and single and no kids, when she needed a new roof, and I'd come over and clean her house just because I loved being with her and helping her. So she would give me these beautiful clothing that she designed and had made, and you have to see the inside. The inside is, and there's a skirt and shirt that also go with it. In fact, one skirt in this fabric and another skirt and blouse in this fabric. And these are very expensive pieces. I have to say that I never would spend the kind of money that pieces like this would cost on myself, but she would give them to me because I helped her, and Madeline Pitts is her name, and I just love being able to carry on her work and bring her legacy out there into the world. So thank you, Madeline, and you're always in my heart. So let's go down and see the.
You can say hi to Erica Bree.
Hi, Erica. Nice that you're here. Thank you so much, and everybody else that's here. And let's say hi to people when we come back upstairs. And
Great.
Bodhi's gonna undo this so we're portable. And
Detaching. We're gonna get moving.
I'm gonna go down and turn on lights while he follows.
Alrighty, we have liftoff. How are we doing, everybody? Okay, let's follow her downstairs. We are going down into the cellar door. Anybody knows what movie the words cellar door are prominent in? And
So this is what I like to call the underground gallery, and as you can see, I've got a lot of original art and a big collection of my art in card size. Let's come on over here. So I have the 15 species of cranes in the big, and all these, let's give you some more light over here, cards. So you can see lots. A visitor can see a lot of my work hanging. And of course, this table is a great place to work on projects. We also play ping pong on it. And so let's go in the framing room.
trouble connecting on Instagram or Facebook, Instagram or YouTube. Anybody who is watching on YouTube and there was a little gap there, we just skipped. That's because we went downstairs, and the phones have a little trouble connecting to the Wi-Fi, but the laptop should be just fine. So anybody who is on Instagram or YouTube, you can always come over to Facebook. You can see this live stream on Clare Cooley's profile, or you can look up the Creativity Show. And if you want to, you can go to incandescencebook.com, and the live streams are all there, the Facebook live streams.
So not only are we doing these live streams, but they are being recorded so that people that can't be here at 2 on Saturdays can still see them, because they're all the videos are put up on the places that Bodhi just mentioned. So here's my book, and now I'm going to read a story called Aurora Borealis and Working Girls. And I want to thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. It really feels like a visit with you. It is a virtual visit, which is good for me. Hopefully it's good for you. It's good for the planet, that we don't have to drive places and fly places to connect. I love that, walking lighter on the planet, especially in these times. Being economical and ecological is something I've been trying to do, and I've learned a lot about throughout my life. And so these virtual visits is part of that. But I also really want to thank the Minnesota State Arts Board for awarding.
What happened?
Oh, something blinked out.
I didn't. For no apparent reason,
Your live video has ended, it says.
yeah, so we just have to start another one. There's no explanation for what happened there, so let me just return home. Let's go back to the event page. So that's today. We're just gonna go. This happened.
It happens.
It does happen.
I see me.
We're not there yet.
Okay.
Just 1 more minute, sorry.
I'll just have some water.
Erica Bree commented, so we'll do a little responder. Today's date 1/14. Yeah. Okay.
So when we say hello to one person, let's say,
Oh, Instagram and YouTube are still going, but I don't know if anybody's watching. So we're gonna go. Are you ready to go live on Facebook again?
yes, but when you say hello from one person, say hello from a number of people.
Here we go.
Well, that was a technological glitch. That happens with technology. We just got cut off, but I think we're back now. And hopefully you are still with us or you've come back.
Yeah, I'm gonna share the new stream on your profile.
Okay, Bodhi's sharing it on my profile, so hopefully that relieves the issue of that it blinked out. So
yeah, we're just getting started again. For some reason the stream ended.
we are not in control of more than we're in control of. So
For no apparent reason, Facebook ended our stream, so we're just starting over. And I'm gonna share it to her profile in a few places so that we let people know. And yeah, thank you for being here and bearing with us.
right. And thank you to the Minnesota State Arts Board for awarding me a grant to do these live reads. It's really fun, and I love connecting with you and the feeling of walking lightly on the planet while still connecting in these virtual visits. We don't have to drive and fly, and some places are too far to walk, and I love that Bodhi is recording them so people can see these whenever they have the time and opportunity in their life. And they're out there and you can share them with your friends and loved ones, and I really appreciate that. There's a lot of things I feel very confident about, creativity and expressing it in many different ways. But I have very little experience and very little comfort with promoting myself, so I appreciate it when other people share what we're doing and tell other people. And I wrote this book because so many people have asked me to, saying that my stories help them heal and regain hope. So who doesn't need that? We all need that. And so please share these live reads and my book with anybody you think could appreciate it. So
let's just say hi to the few comments we have.
Sure, we'll say hi to a few comments before reading the story.
So Sue Spencer wrote, "Hi Claire,
Hey.
Liesel and I are watching on the big screen, loving the patterns and colors."
Thank you. You like that shiny stuff? Ooh.
Yeah, that's good. And Erica Bree says, I don't have the comment up right now because we had technical difficulty, but she said, love all the art and that you have it all around.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, art is a hope increaser. There's a couple of musician friends watching right now, in fact, that have been in this very room when we did a musical showcase before COVID. And you know, music, writing, fine art, decor, wardrobe, jewelry, all of it brings hope in, and we all need that. And no matter when and how our lives are going, hope is something we all have to keep finding ways, joy in our lives, and how to share it with others. So that's what art gives me, is joy and the hope I want to share with others. So that's why I wrote the book. That's why I'm actually a friendly recluse. I've always spent most of my time in solitude and quiet, so it's very challenging for me to get up in front of a camera and read my real stories, publish it, but I feel like it's fear worth facing, and it's making me a better person, and hopefully it's helping some of you, and you're passing it to others who need some help, because who doesn't need help to restore hope? Life is not fair, and terrible things can happen to perfectly good people for no good reason, and sometimes victims get blamed for what they've been through because nobody wants to accept we live in an unfair world, but we do. And bad things can happen to good people for no good reason. And so I love to help other people not be ashamed of ever being a victim, or not take any of the blame on themselves. Let it go, rise above. Don't let other people's confusion be yours. Love yourself, forgive everybody else for you, because they have to forgive themselves. So are we ready for the story?
Sure. I was just commenting one last place.
Okay, so while Bodhi's getting one last comment out there, I'll tell you a little about this story. I think I was about 20 when Kay's was going into labor, and the only way to get from where I was in Montana to Minneapolis in the amount of time that labor was likely to take was to hitchhike the long haul semi trucks. So my mother's one-word description of me as a child, and she lived with me till she passed, my dear artist mother, said the one-word description of me is cautious. And she said, and you've never changed. So even though it sounds dangerous, and I certainly do not suggest anyone, especially females, hitchhike. I really don't recommend it, but I never meant to put myself in harm's way, and as the story will reveal, how I did that safely and, respectfully. So, how we doing at getting the story in?
All right, let's just do it. So are you done with all the thank yous? You want to just go right for the book? Okay.
Yeah, right for the story, which is called Aurora Borealis and Working Girls. It's very small.
It's gonna get bigger.
Oh, okay. It was teeny little type. So, all right. So this is chapter 27, Aurora Borealis and Working Girls. The only way for me to get the 1,284 miles from Libby, Montana to Minneapolis, Minnesota in time for Kay's baby's birth was to hitchhike rides on long-haul semi-trucks. So I stood at the top of a long, slow climbing hill where the vehicles were going slow enough for me to see who was in them. Most I let pass without putting out my thumb. The policies I've learned hitchhiking have proven helpful in all areas of life. Do not get in if the driver is in a hurry or gets annoyed while you ask as many questions as you need to feel comfortable. Safe people understand you need to determine whether or not they are safe. Bad people often try to rush things. Always stand where others can see you. Wait until someone is passing and wave like you know them before getting in the vehicle, letting the driver see there is a witness. Do not make critical decisions when tired, upset, or hungry. Remember, bad actors can have a good act. Like everybody, but don't forget that trust needs to be earned. Stay alert and be kind and cautious. Keep in mind, you are the one keeping yourself safe. After being assaulted in my mother's home with my father passed out on the couch, I was afraid of everyone larger than me, which is almost everyone but children. Most sexual assaults happen by people we thought we could trust. I accepted that I could triple lock my doors, have a number of different alarm systems, weapons, a Mastiff, German Shepherd, Doberman Pinscher, and a Pit Bull, and still I would not feel safe. Only if I learned to protect myself could I ever become comfortable in the world with other people in it. I was inclined to mistrust my own potentially dangerous species, and for good reason. I could stay inside a fortress and give up my freedom, or could set out to face my enormous fear. I set out to regain my sense of being safe in the world by being aware and logical. Ironically, the only assaults I've endured happened at home with people who had the trust of not only me, but other intelligent, mature people. Never once out in the world among strangers did anyone attack me. I was actually safer among strangers I chose to be with than those that had access to me in my family home, or once when a roommate slipped drugs into my tea. The assaults happened when I let my guard down in my own home, as I did not do out in the world. Pete pulled his cab over semi-truck off the road, and I went to the driver's side to talk to him where I was visible to the road. He did not get nervous as I asked him lots of questions. I followed all my policies and then walked over to the passenger side to get in. He liked to talk without any concern about what. He was a decent and simple man, which was just what I hoped for. Smart men, when they are not good, can be very dangerous. I set out to get to know him by asking lots of questions about his family, wife, and kids, and where he was from. Did he like trucking? What would he rather do? What are his favorite activities? Where did he live, and how much time did he spend driving? He did not tire of talking, and I did not tire of listening. It was easy to keep him talking. I was genuinely interested in what his life was like. And I knew I may not spend this much time with someone like him again. I am curious about everyone, and it is easy for me to be friendly toward anyone respectful, but impossible for me to fake it when people are rude. Another of my policies is just get away from disrespectful people as fast as possible. Pete was sweet. When we stopped, he got an enormous amount of greasy food, and I got a baked potato with sour cream. Bill, a good-looking man in a usual sort of way and aware of it, came to sit at our table. Pete was ample and round everywhere and a cute sort of homely. Bill suggested I ride with him, assuming I would prefer to ride with a handsome man. I politely declined, saying Pete and I were enjoying becoming friends. To break the tension my rejection caused, Pete asked Bill, "How was your weekend?" Bill said, "It was fine. I got drunk, went fishing, and got divorced." I said, "How long have you been married?" 7 years. "How long have you been thinking about getting a divorce?" 7 years. "Well, I guess then it is good you did it." Later down the road, Pete told me the only females that ever come here besides the waitresses are working girls riding between truck stops. I did not get it and asked, "Working on what?" Pete got very uncomfortable, and I realized he was talking about prostitution. We both stopped talking for a while, and I tried not to show my shock. After I composed myself, I said, "If adults want to do that, that is fine for them, but it would not be fine for me. It would make me very sad. I'm not a working girl, and I'm just trying to get to my friend before she has her baby. And hitchhiking is the only way to get there in time. I hope you did not give me a ride because you thought I was a prostitute. I hope you are not disappointed. You certainly don't dress or talk like a working girl." You are different from any female I've ever met. What is the difference? You are nice, but not in a silly way. You are honest. We both needed some quiet time and did not say anything for the first time since he picked me up. A little while later, Pete pulled into a truck stop saying he needed to sleep for an hour. He said I could lie next to him and rest too. I said, I am fine right here. Go ahead and get some sleep. He asked if he could give me one little kiss. No, I said firmly. Then he asked if he could feel my legs just a bit. He tried a few more suggestions, but did not touch me, so I was not afraid. I just felt sorry for him. Then he said, a guy has got to try. But a guy doesn't have to keep trying what he knows won't work. Just then, out the window, were incredibly beautiful waves of green lights in the sky. The aurora borealis was much more beautiful than I'd ever imagined it could be from the photographs I had seen. I was stunned by the crackling electricity undulating in strange, lovely patterns above us. Pete seemed unimpressed, which did not seem possible. I could not understand his lack of interest in the incredible show, and I decided to let him sleep and enjoy them in solitude. The dancing luminosity was mesmerizing, and I felt privileged to witness it. I was grateful Pete was quiet and I could enjoy it without his need and loneliness talking and distracting me. Several hours later, when he awoke, the lights had disappeared and the sky was dark again. I felt sad and changed by all of it. The natural beauty, the human yearning, my vulnerability. I did not want to speak. He was clearly embarrassed and started driving without a word. He appeared ashamed of himself, but I did not think there was anything I could say to make it better, so I said nothing. A few hours down the road, out of nowhere, Pete spoke up about his wife not wanting to be intimate with him. He told me they got married 6 years ago because she got pregnant. Now, 5 kids later, she has no interest in me. We get along better now that I'm trucking, and when I come home, the kids are glad to see me. I tried to help by asking questions like, do you bring her little sweet gifts, thoughtful things from the road? What does she like? Maybe she feels taken for granted and overworked. She does not get away from being on duty with 5 kids and staying home. Maybe she's just tired and feels like when you are home, she can finally just rest. He started to tear up and was embarrassed, so I looked out the window but continued listening. He poured out all his troubles, most of which I let flow past me out the window, feeling like a sacred witness to his pain. I hoped my empathy was reaching him and helping him in some small way. He asked, You are a kind person. Do you believe in God? I don't know. No one can know, but I do believe in kindness. How did you get the way you are so young? My mother is the kindest person I know, and I guess I want to be like her. You're doing a good job, and you are right not being a working girl. They don't really like men. They just do it to get paid. They lose sweetness. That is sad. I feel for them not figuring out a way to get by that doesn't discourage them, doing the only thing most men will pay for but do not respect them for doing it. That is an awful life. I try to learn as many skills as I can so I do not ever have to do something I would not respect myself for. It was the end of the line for his delivery. Even though we knew we would never see each other again, we parted as real friends. I was better for getting to know the hardships of a decent man's life. We were both grateful I was not a working girl, and what I will most remember is the aurora borealis. Thank you. Thank you. So I really appreciate knowing that you're listening, and we all want to be heard. I believe we need to be heard to be happy. So I try to hear others. So let's hear some.
Say hi to Dennis and Grace.
Dennis and Grace, hello. Thank you for being here, and I feel ya. And it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling to know that you're there and we can connect. No matter how much space is between us, I know there's someone in Mexico and someone in Spain and someone just down the street and someone up the shore, and we're all connected, and that feels really good. So I had some questions, Bo.
Sure, yeah, I'm just pulling them up. Yeah, what is that beautiful outfit made out of?
This is wool, and the inside is a polished cotton, and Madeline Pitts, the designer, their original prototypes. There's not another one in the world, and so of course I treasure them. And Madeline, who made them and designed them, and she was one of the only Black people in the city we used to live in that I call way white and wealthy. And so I loved, that wasn't the reason I connected and loved her immediately, but I felt really good about being there for her and having her wisdom and kindness and generosity in my life. And some of these beads were things that she made that were actually a necklace that broke, so I remade them so I could wear them. So these fabrics, I was so shocked when she told me how much they cost, per yard. So like I said earlier, I would never spend. In fact, I have one thing in my wardrobe that was bought at a department store. Everything else I made was got at used stores. I love to recreate, recycle, repurpose everything. And so that one thing that I bought at a department store was when my first book was published. I bought myself a full length to celebrate. I thought I had to do something extravagant. Full length beige wool coat. And everything else, even though I have a huge wardrobe, because as the outfit I showed earlier, I keep things, and I treasure them and do my best to keep them nice. And luckily I can still fit in that outfit from somewhere between 40 and 50 years ago. I have to admit it's a little tighter, but I can still wear it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Joan asks, what piece of art goes with that story in the book?
Thank you. The story, before the story is Heavenly Bodies, and Bodhi's going to show after the story is Japanese cranes in the snowfield, which is hanging on the wall. So he's going to take that over and show you that one. Thank you for asking.
We'll have to excuse the reflections. We got a little bit of reflections going on, but we'll show you a few different angles.
That's also a watercolor, like Heavenly Bodies. And that's not how we didn't get those lights on. I don't, they're so, being the DIY not duo and creative generalists that do it all ourselves. Sometimes, you know, I don't quite get my hair combed or don't quite get the lights on or something. But we're doing it, and you know, and it's real. It's a mother-son productions, and we are a mother and son who are doing these productions all ourselves. So bear with us for the parts that are not the pro show, but the Mo and Bo show.
Todd K asked, what's in the cabinet?
Cabinet is, I like to call this, when Bodhi was young, I designed it to be an entertainment cabinet. Now it has become what I like to call the true entertainment cabinet, our own imagination. So it's musical instruments, book and stationery and stencil design. It's all from carving to painting to drawing to etching so it's the true entertainment is our own imaginations, and so it's full of inks and paints and pastels and watercolors and pens and pencils and brushes and carving tools and sumi stone, so everything and anything. And I love to do creativity retreats as well as work with individuals, so I like to have as many different tools and supplies on hand, organized, ready to go. I say, you know, be organized enough so that you can enjoy life more. Meaning, if I get an inspiration, I want to go right to the tool or material I need so I can do it while the inspiration is hot. Instead of looking for something, getting frustrated, getting sidetracked and distracted before I can do it. So I am an unusual artist. People say that I'm organized, but it's a choice, being organized. And when Bodhi and I spent a year traveling the country to choose our new location, I call it stow as you go, because we lived in a 25-foot RV. And so you have to stow as you go when you're going to drive down the road. You can't be leaving things on the counter and that small a space. So that was great training. A lot of people aren't organized by nature. It is a practice, but it helps us have more time for the stuff that we enjoy, whether it's visiting, creating, working out, playing. So organize enough to have more fun is my motto.
Say hi to Tallulah Sheffield.
Hello, Tallulah Sheffield, nice name.
And we got a JM asked about the origami crane bouquets.
Yes.
Show us those.
Let's
go over there.
Let's look at these. These are silver and gold origami on the end of little organic grass sticks. And yeah, I just, you know, find, I have a habit or a policy of, if something comes into my life like these gold and silver papers came into my life, I thought, well, let's make them into origami cranes. And then these grass sticks, reeds, whatever they're called, came into my life, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do with those? And then this choice of find a use for anything you have instead of throwing things away. Pass it to others who have a use for it, for sure, but don't just throw it in the landfill because you don't know what to do with it. Give it to someone who can think of something to do with it, or wait until you can think of something to do with it. So strange, different things come together in my life, like the recycled ribbon rainbow that I did before this holiday season. I had those ribbons instead of throwing them away from gifts I've given or received over the years, for many years in these bags. And this year I got that idea, and so there we go. Is there another?
Let me put the laptop back on the tripod and then we'll check the questions from Facebook.
Yes, and so you can text questions or you can write it in the comment column, or you can, send them to me any way you like. Facebook, Instagram. Telepathy. Yes, as my friend calls me, clairvoyant. Let me see if I feel any questions out there. Why are you so silly? Someone's asking. Oh, because it's a perfect balance to having had a very serious life. Those of you who have my book already know this, but a judge once said, this is when I knew I had to write it. Her story is like the women on death row. How did she turn out so nice? That's when I realized, wow, never having had any thought like that. I'm not impressed with myself. I didn't think I'd been through, that much that I could have ended up on death row, but anybody can. Everybody has disappointments. So what do we do with them? How do we transform it into purpose? How do we retrieve our joy? So I'm as silly as I am serious, and yeah, so.
Claire Boisneau said, great story.
Thank you very much. That's,
and
thank you.
Jeff Gard said, how do we get a signed copy of the book? Do you sell those? How do we acquire?
You can get those through me. I have the color book on hand. I don't know if I have any black and white, but I do have the color book, which I recommend. It's a little bit more, but not much more, and it's got 68 pieces of art, which are color, and 40 photographs. So you can get it through me. If you're local, I have a pickup container outside my front door. If you're not local, we can send it to you, and it can be inscribed to you or anyone you like. So happy to do that.
That's great. And then
makes me feel important to sign it. So how much time?
3 minutes.
Okay.
So in the last couple minutes here, I just want to say we had to restart the stream. So if we've missed any comments or questions, we'll look back, we'll find them and make sure to get to them next Saturday. She's doing this again, same time, same day.
I'm going to do them every Saturday at 2, and when this series of live reads wraps up, I'm going to go into a series of stenciling live streams, doing art in front of the camera, and I'm also going to be doing a 10-part series on how to find what you want to write, organize your life so you can write it, refine it, design it, and either find a publisher or self-publish and promote it. So from the beginning to the end of a writing project, I'm going to do that in live stream. So every Saturday at 2 and 4 o'clock is Bodhi's live stream from his sci-fi thriller, Northport, 1999. So thanks for being here, and thanks again for the awarding me the grant to do these from the Minnesota State Arts Board. And I really appreciate you telling other people, because I'm not good at it. And thank you again to Perfect Duluth Day for the recent article, and Abigail Blonigan for doing that. And if you have any questions, comments, feel free to contact me, and you can see all of these on incandescencebook.com and share them with your friends. And my YouTube channel, The Creativity Show, Bodhi's YouTube channel, Bodhi the Movie Maker, and we really appreciate you being here. It feels wonderful. I really feel you, and it's very heartwarming. Thank you so much, and see you next Saturday. And meanwhile, stay curious and stay creative.
Alrighty, we're gonna end the stream there. Thank you guys so much. Ending now on Facebook. Ending on YouTube. You can wave. And ending on Instagram. Great, good job. Yay.